you're welcome to them. If not, we can just fire away.
Just really excited about getting to play somebody else. I think this is the only level of football where we don't get a preseason game or scrimmage, and so our players are raring to go. Just really excited about being in game week, and obviously excited about the offense and just what we get to show on Monday night. So excited for our players, excited for our coaches. A lot of hard work has been put in, and just can't wait to get there.
We hear constantly about how you guys want to see improvement throughout the season, every week, every practice. What have you seen in the last week that makes you excited about your offense in terms of growth?
Yeah, I think the big word there would be maturity. I think our offense is a more mature group than it was a year ago, and even since the spring, it's a more mature group. And we just have some veteran guys that have that experience, went through some ups and downs last year, and just have learned to overcome a lot of things. And so I feel like we're just a more mature group, and we're executing better. And our guys are really confident, and that's the biggest thing for our guys now.
That's from last year, though, and this spring. So what about fall camp? As you've made that switch from fall camp to game prep?
Yeah.
Where has this group kind of turned a page for you, maybe, if they have?
Yeah, no.
Tell me no, I'm an idiot.
No. I think they've definitely improved over the last week in just our overall execution. You're always looking to, as you hone in on the game plan and as you hone in on an opponent, you really want to do a good job of, fine-tuning the details, and that allows for the execution piece. And so finally, when we get this, we have the game plan in now, so they have an opportunity to go fine-tune those little details of each position. And so by doing so, the execution comes, and that's what we've seen at practice so far.
Andrew Tacker's a guy you've gone against a number of times.
Yep.
Last year, they kind of changed things up a little bit, said, hey, you're not going to throw deep on us. We're going to kind of keep things close to the line of scrimmage. What do you expect out of him this time?
Yeah, good question. They did a handful of things last year that were different than what we saw on film. Andrew does a great job, obviously. He threw in a wrench last year for us, and we had to adjust. We had that big rain delay, and just had to make some adjustments. So, fortunately, we go against a defense that does a lot of things, and so we are prepared for really everything that you can think of, and that's what's so special about going against our defense, is that we've seen it all. We've seen every type of front that you can think of. We've seen every kind of coverage, and so it really prepares our guys to be ready for these types of games when you're really not 100% sure of what they're going to get. And so it's important for us to just make sure we cover our bases and make sure we understand our game plan, know exactly what we want to do, and then go execute.
Brandon, I'm sure among those guys you were talking about, mature PJs, among them, what have you seen from him in this camp that has been different than the first 2 years?
Yeah, I really think his poise factor. I mean, I really believe that the growth that he's had in that area has been tremendous. And him just understanding the big picture even more so than he has in the past has allowed him to be more confident and really to just have that poise that you need to have as a quarterback. And whether that be leadership on the field or just poise in the pocket, all those things, he has grown up in that area.
And mentally, he's kind of put aside the things that happened last year, maybe some of the outside critics he heard last year, and gone forward with it.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot over the last year, and I feel like he's in a really good spot. I feel like I mentioned earlier, the confidence piece with this offense is the biggest part, and it starts with the quarterback. And so he's shown a lot of confidence, and we have a lot of confidence in him, and just excited about, like I said earlier, just finally going out there and playing somebody else.
As you prepare for an opponent you saw last year, you're naturally going to watch your own film against them. How have you seen him handle watching his own film back from last year specifically, with some of those different things that he faced?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just being fundamentally sound. You watched the film last year, and he was a little bit not quite as sharp fundamentally. And so that's something that we talked about, not just in the offseason, but as we get closer to this game, because it showed in that game last year. And so that's the biggest thing, is fundamentals under pressure, fundamentals in crunch time and maintaining that poise throughout that experience.
Are you at a point now where like you don't really need to sit? He's like, oh, there it is. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it, and you guys can kind of move on.
It is, and I asked him, you coach yourself right here, DJ. You tell me what you can do better right there, and he's really quick to answer. So he's a sharp kid. He's a bright kid. He's very aware, and he knows exactly what he needs to do.
Coach Blake Miller starting at right tackle, moving Parks to guard. What has Blake done in August to really earn your trust?
Well, Blake has done an awesome job. I think I related him to like a Mitch Hyatt type situation where Blake has come in and really has learned the big picture and understand, what everybody else is doing, and that's allowed him to excel mentally, which is very hard for a young lineman to do. A lot of times it takes at least a year or two to get very acclimated because there's so much that goes on up front. There's a lot of communication, so there's a lot of knowledge there. But he has been over the top as far as just knowledge as a freshman. Still has things to learn, of course, but man, I've just been impressed with that piece. Mentally understanding, not really busting, assignments, and so he's been very, very consistent at a young age.
You talked about the wrench that Georgia Tech threw at you with the inexperience you had last year. Did it make it harder to adjust in game? And do you think that'd be different if they throw a wrench at you this time as having one?
Yeah, I don't know if it was any harder because of the young group. I mean, they know that every game we go into, we're going to have to make adjustments. That's kind of the gist of game planning and being prepared for whatever it is. Because every week we go into it saying, hey, we could get something a little bit different. The big communication piece with the players is that, hey, there's no reason to freak out in a game. Let's just go communicate, let's regroup, and let's get it fixed. And it's our job as coaches is to create that confidence in our players during the game so that there is no panic, there is no freaking out. It's just maintain your poise, let's talk about it, communicate, and then go fix it. And that's what we did last year, even though they threw out something that we've never seen them do before.
Coach, looking at Brandon Spector starting at slot receiver, given everything he's been through with his journey, how has that meant for the offense to see him perform like he has in fall camp?
It's a really big confidence boost for our guys, especially for Brandon, and I know for DJ too, and our quarterbacks. Like you said, just to see what he's gone through and just overcoming some of the adversity that he had health-wise. He's had a great camp, and he is ready to go. And so he's just a warrior. That kid is a warrior, and very, very physical, tough kid, fast, explosive. And so I'm really, really excited to see Brandon out there, first time in a long time.
Coach, three-headed monster running back. How do you handle the carries? Do you split you say going in, each guy's going to have X number? If one guy gets hot, you stick with the hot hand?
Yeah, I mentioned this before, I think, but just I feel confident with all three of those guys. And that's what's so special about the group is they all three can be put into any situation, and I feel really, really confident with that. And so, you always, as you're going into a game, you want to see what the flow is like for some of these guys. Some guys get the hot hand, and then you want to get the ball to them a little bit more. Obviously Shipley's our starter. So he's going to get the ball, and it's important for us to do that and to feed him. But, man, those other two guys are really, really special. So I really think it depends on the flow of the game and depends on who has the hot hand.
Brandon, you mentioned last week that benchmark of at least 60% completion rate that you want your quarterbacks at. I guess based on what you guys charted during camp, were Cade and DJ at that more often than not?
They were above that 60%, so it was really good to see. Again, it just depended on what we had that installed for that day, kind of depended on the percentage. But when you took the overall, both of those guys were over 60%, and that was really good to see. Again, it shows confidence. It shows, understanding the big picture a little bit more, and then it shows a young guy that has been able to, really absorb the offense and do a good job of maintaining his confidence and throwing with accuracy. Because that's the name of the game when you're talking about quarterbacks, as we all know, is, man, it's all good if you can throw it 70 or 80 yards, but if you're not accurate, it really doesn't matter. And so the accuracy piece is one of the biggest things that we do chart.
Brandon, there was a lot of focus this camp on getting the best five on the offensive line. How about the next five? Who would you say your number 6 guy is right
Yeah, you know, I don't know if we can pinpoint exactly who the sixth guy, but you look at guys like Mitchell Mays. I mean, he's a guy that has played a decent amount of football and is a very valuable player for us that could play a couple different positions. You know, you got Brian Tucker, who's also played a couple different positions, mostly guard, but he's a guy that has done some really, really good things. You know, you got Colin Sadler, you got John Williams. Those are some of the guys that you feel, and then Tristan Lee also. I mean, they all. I know, you know, there's really not an exact sixth guy, but we have preparation where, you know, if we have to move guys around a little bit just to make sure that we, you know, fill a need if somebody goes down, or if we need to make a sub, then we can do that. But we feel good about our second five guys, you know, and then you got the battle of you know, Trent Howard. And Ryan Linthicum at center too. So I think the experience factor that those guys have from the spring and then also from preseason camp, it has given our staff a lot of confidence in just being able to put those guys in there when need be.
Early last season, the starting five went the distance in a number of games. How much different is the feeling now with depth and comfort?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's more comfort because of what I said as far as just the experience factor and just more guys understanding multiple positions. And so that's a comforting thing for the coaches especially.
Brandon, a few days from the first game, what's this moment feel like for you? Nerves, excitement, or does it feel not much different than any other